We're so used to being focused on what is not here, what has not arrived. What this practice does through patience and through consistency is it allows for you to be in the present moment for what is here for you, what is available, and it relaxes the body enough for you to have enough joy and patience and awareness to either make that big decision that you've always wanted to make, not feel like you have to hustle for the next dollar, or automatically the next time a bill comes, you're like, yeah, it's really cool. Welcome to the Jamie C Show. Today's episode is incredible. Honestly, a really, really great conversation. I'm sitting down with my producer, Natalie, and we are talking all things money, wealth, energetics, and we're kind of tackling more of the questions of doubt, the things that might keep you from truly believing that overflow is something that is meant for you. And I'm here to assure you that it is. And I will also be leaving you with some really incredible and impactful tools that I teach my clients inside of my program, Currency Academy. But you get to start with today.
Ooh, are you ready?
You? I am.
We're talking about
Wealth expansion.
what is it?
How did I know that that was going to be the first thing that you said? Wealth expansion, the way that I like to think about it, is not about money at all. That's one of the byproducts, but that's essentially a neutral tool. To me, wealth expansion, or the way that at least I teach it, is really the allowance of wealth in terms of like wealth of joy, wealth of abundance, wealth of opportunity, wealth of purpose. And it truly is just coming back to releasing any stories of limitation, any areas where you feel undeserving or unworthy, and allowing yourself to come back home as a practice, but coming back home to who you were born to be, and allowing yourself to experience more purpose and joy and happiness and fulfillment, and allowing yourself to also get to a place where you can receive that openly. So many of us have been told to shrink our voices, to not speak loudly, to feel that charging less or not receiving more is like this noble act or relatable thing, especially based off of your upbringing or culture. My goal is to allow people to become more well-resourced, not just financially, but essentially well-resourced in the way that they feel in their human experience with what they deserve and happy, healthy relationships with themselves and others. And I would say wealth expansion to me is feeling worthy and deserving of living a life that feels good.
So until we were talking about it, I honestly didn't know that you did mean that when you said wealth expansion. I thought you only were talking about money.
I think that's really common. I like to allow the perspective as well with money itself, right? It's not bank account expansion. Wealth is a wealth of resources. To me, it's a sense of abundance, an overflow, a wealth of. And when I think about money, I think collectively we can all say that it is one of the most emotionally loaded mirrors that people will stand in front of, based off of the way that we were raised, based off of the things that we've been told about it, societal expectations, what it means to be wealthy, kind of the idea that society puts on you if you are. It's almost this who it makes you if you have more, right? My goal is to allow people to come back to a place of such abundance. They always know that the money aspect is their birthright, just like it's your birthright to be happy and to experience really beautiful aspects of your life. When you think about the money conversation in itself, it's a taboo topic. It's a topic not a lot of people feel comfortable talking about. It's usually things that are whispered. And I have decided to be really loud about it because I want to take the stigma out of it. I want to make it a neutral tool again, because it is. But money itself is a piece of paper. Let's just say a dollar bill, right? And a notebook paper, right? This one has a lot more meaning than this one. They're two totally different things. This one has memory of how you were raised and what you couldn't afford, or money doesn't grow on trees, or if you have more, people will leave you. Like, there's so much memory and emotion tied to one solid word, piece of paper. And even when you rebuild your relationship with that one thing, it ties to all areas of abundance. Because essentially, when you allow yourself to receive simply because you exist, joy, happiness, all of the things, that's the goalpost, is to be able just to receive love and happiness even if money is a part of that equation, because I feel like when we are allowed to be more well-resourced, we do more good, especially when money is in the hands of good-hearted people. Because again, you think about like the neutral tool aspect of money, when it's put into the hands of greedy people, when it's put in the hands of people who are destructive, have a lot of healing to do, and don't have good intentions, it's not used in the way that is supportive to communities or to families. And my goal is to change that. It's a big mission, I know. I really know that we can do it. Or at least make a dent, make an impact.
Money is something that's been really complicated for me, which we've talked a lot about. And I think that the thing I do struggle about it is the inequality of how our world has been set up, of what you were saying exactly. Of there's a lot of money in a lot of people's hands who are making the world worse. And so just kind of, how do I say this?
Do you feel like money, like the complication that you have, or I want to say complications, the complexities is like if you have more of it, that you will become that person or be associated with that type of person?
That is what I thought about
Yeah.
money
That's actually really common.
until I've talked more with you.
Well,
And you helped reframe that.
yay.
But yeah, I definitely had for a very long time a fear of, well, I was literally taught money was evil. So
A lot of people are.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in the Bible of like, isn't it like the money is, or greed is, money or greed is at the root of all sin or some shit like that. So yeah, that was very heavily taught. And just like I think I've talked to you about before, of like my sister who's a teacher, and just like the unfairness and guilt I've even felt knowing that I'm making more than someone who I feel like is actually doing good in the world.
You're both doing good in the world.
Thank you.
There's not one is more worthy and deserving of the other. I would actually really love to dive deeper into that, because, and just kind of back to your thought of the inequality aspect of it, but more so money is evil. And I truly wholeheartedly had to rebuild that process. I was raised by people. I love my family very, very much. But I was raised by people who believed that wealthy people are inherently bad. Those people are the people that take advantage of people. And even if that wasn't necessarily the words that they spoke, it was the way that conversations were had, it was in the movies. But essentially, having to rebuild the idea that wealthy people are also just not who we are. My parents both we weren't well off. And so I had kind of created this idea that if I become wealthy, I will no longer be loved. I'll no longer be accepted in my family because I am inherently different than the people that raised me. And there was a level of guilt also that is tied with potentially doing better than the people that raised you, or the sense of who do you think you are, or like don't lose your roots, or that type of situation. There's a lot of unraveling that I had to do around that. And I recognize that, I mean, I say this very often, but money in the hands of good people doesn't hurt people. And that money in the hands of good people heals families and feeds communities and changes timelines, and generations moving forward are positively impacted by the new beliefs that you choose to have and the good that you do. Money is memory. It's been stories that have been passed down, and essentially it is neutral. It's like assigning a story to a hammer. I mean, that kind of sounds silly to say, but it is just as neutral. It is just a tool.
For those where money does not feel neutral at all, I think a lot of folks who have fixed incomes, like my sister, where it's so hard to think of abundance or anything like that because it is a very capped resource for them, how do they navigate that?
I love this question so much. I want us to take a moment and step back from the wealth energetics equaling so much more money and get to the root of the relationship with it instead. The stories that you tell yourself about it, how you feel when you handle it, how you feel when you look at your bank account, how you feel. It's an emotional response first, and the byproduct of finding gratitude, healing the processes. I'm not saying it's going to happen immediately, but you obviously can. And I'm going to share some really, really helpful things that help my clients with this process, and share this with your sister if she would like to. But essentially, when you think about everyday processes, not even thinking about the process of making more money, just your everyday processes with the way that you feel about it. How do you feel spending it? How do you feel looking at your bank account? How do you feel when you're giving a gift? How do you feel when you are making financial decisions? When you are investing, or when you are receiving a paycheck, or when you receive an unexpected financial gift? Just starting about with the emotional concept of that. How can you rebuild first the story that you're telling yourself about what it means? Because imagine if you did see it from a different lens, and all of a sudden you just see money as a byproduct of you feeling good doing your job, and you're able to have a roof over your head, and you're able to have it there and be able to buy a coffee, and you're able to look at your bank account and just be grateful no matter the number. There's just a sense of relaxation that it can occur through neutrality, regardless of what is there. Because this work, if we take the amount out of it, this baseline work, if not done, people get to a point, and I've met plenty of them that have $1 million in the bank, and they feel like the world is going to end. The shoe is going to drop. So even if they're making more money every single month, doesn't matter if it's fixed income, doesn't matter if there's an overflow of it. If there is a sense of urgency or lack or fear associated with a neutral tool, there's going to be panic there. So when you do this, regardless of the amount, there's an energy that relaxes the body. There's a sense of peace and presence and joy and gratitude of what is here and available to you versus what is not available to you. And when you work through that process slowly every day, it's a choice to keep integrating into that space. You slowly start to feel this this neutrality, this pressure. It's almost like this like tightened thing of how are we going to do this, or how, because it doesn't matter the amount in the bank account. People have felt like this with $1 million in the bank account and with zero in the bank account, the exact same. And that is a very interesting concept to think about, because people with $0 in the bank would be like, if I had $1 million in the bank, I would feel so safe. I would feel incredible. But if you have always associated pain and struggle to money, it doesn't matter how much there is, you don't immediately start to feel safe when you have more of it. Because if you've always thought, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I have to work really hard, there's always so much going out, there's always so much that is wrong, that when more actually starts to come in, that even feels more unsafe. Because what if it all goes away? What if an unexpected expense comes up? How am I actually going to be able to enjoy this? There's levels of complexity with this, because it's the relationship of what is present and what is here versus what is not, and what that means, because it's such a personal relationship.
If I were starting to rebuild my relationship with money, what would be that first step to take?
I would really, really love for anyone who is listening and watching to be able to implement this and just audit their energy on this. And please be mindful that the feelings that you have are not a indicator that there is anything wrong with you. Any discomfort that you're feeling, any frustration that you're feeling, any emotions that come up, they're all just your body processing the stories of whatever you have been told about money, or whatever you have been told about lack, or anything that you have been told about loss, not having enough, what that means, what we make it mean about ourselves. So just keeping that in mind. Just be gentle with yourself. There is word association as the first topic, which is there is any word in our vocabulary has a story tied to it, has memory tied to it. Just the word money is emotionally loaded. Just the word. Bank account is another one, right? So money and bank account, those two words are generally the most emotionally loaded. And I would really love for anyone who's listening to change the name of those. I like to call my bank account the giving tree, and money is honey. So you don't have to use it. You can use any kind of word you want. We'll take it to the next level in just a moment. But the importance of this is to neutralize the actual, just like to remove words that create dysregulation or panic in the body. Just take the word out. Even when you start to call the bank account the giving tree, it's like, oh, it already starts to shift something. It already starts to move energy. It already starts to take off those lenses and put new ones on. And we want to get to a place where we are kind of releasing just a little bit of the pressure, a little bit of the story, just so that we can enter in with a different energy. There's a lot of ties to attachment theory. We actually have a whole episode on attachment theory with Dr. Morgan, one of our guests on the show. And there is avoidant, there is anxious and dysregulated, which is like the pendulum swing that Dr. Morgan talks about, kind of going between anxious and avoidant. But secure attachment is the goal, and everybody can get there. But there's actually a very big tie between how you handle romantic relationships, friendships, and money. So, for example, if you are avoidant, you are using that as a coping mechanism to protect yourself from perceived danger, perceived emotional distress. So you may find yourself avoiding money conversations, avoiding your bank account, avoiding looking at bills. There's a sense of avoidance because you don't want to feel something. And kind of just feeling the sense of where you might potentially stand on that, because that could be a very key indicator of understanding your relationship as it stands. Not in any sense of judgment at all, just a sense of awareness. I would really love for anybody that's listening, after you've renamed money and renamed the bank account, to be able to visit the bank account and do this little activity, which I love. Every time you go into your bank account, I want you, before you even open it up, I want you to put your hand on your heart and I want you to breathe in through your nose and just say, I am safe, I am loved, I am well resourced. I am safe, I am loved, I am well resourced. Just baseline grounding. And then as you go into your bank account, we want to assign gratitude for what has left your bank account, no matter what the number is. I want you to kind of look through. You can even write this down, you can even print it out, but just look at where the money has gone and see if you can assign gratitude to it. For example, your cell phone bill. I just paid for my cell phone bill. Wow. I got to run my business through that phone. I got to FaceTime my daughter. Look at how blessed I am that I'm able to do that. How lucky am I to be able to be resourced enough to be able to pay that and to have that opportunity and to be able to call anyone anytime I want. How lucky. Go ahead, look at the next thing. Oh, my mortgage bill. Okay, I have hot water. I have a roof over my head. Look at those beautiful books on the shelf. How lucky am I to have a place to sleep tonight? Even if it's not the place you want to live, even if it's not the shirt you could have afforded, even if it's not the fanciest cell phone, you still have access to joy and to safety, something. And the more that you're able to go through and assign gratitude for what even has, we're not even assigning gratitude for what is there, it's what has left and what it has given you. Because everything, if we always focus on what I don't have, what I don't have, what I don't have, there's not enough money, there's not enough money, there's not enough money, oh my God, another bill, another bill. The moment you start to make it a practice to switch it to what is here because of the giving tree, because of that, the clothes that are hanging in my closet, the food that is in my refrigerator, the hot water, the warm blanket, look what is here for me. Doesn't that automatically start to shift? And it won't be immediate. Your body might contract and even kind of repel the idea of that because we're so used to being focused on what is not here, what has not arrived. But what this practice does through patience and through consistency is it allows for you to be in the present moment for what is here for you, what is available, and it relaxes the body enough for you to have enough joy and patience and awareness to either make that big decision that you've always wanted to make, or to not feel like you have to hustle for the next dollar, or automatically the next time a bill comes, you're like, yeah, it's really cool. That's giving me my car right now. Like that's putting, like I get to go drive to go see my mom because of what I get to do right now. And immediately switches the energy, immediately sinks into the heart space and allows for you to be able to take action a little bit different and also makes you feel different, which is the whole point. That is something that, again, is a starting point, but I firmly believe with patience and with practice, it really can shift a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, even as you were just doing it, I started to get like very relaxed, almost to the point of like sleepy. Not because I'm bored, but just because literally I just like, it felt, I don't know, gratitude's crazy. I think it's like the secret to a lot, oftentimes. It's very
Gratitude
powerful.
is abundance in action.
What do you mean by that?
It's like appreciating abundance always. It's like sitting in the abundance. It's the action of receiving, of being aware of being in abundance. You could either say abundance in action, appreciation in action. I firmly believe like gratitude is an action, and you choose it because our brains are always wired to find the negative. You have to wire your brain to see the positive on purpose, because if you don't, our brains constantly will focus on what is dangerous, what is not here, and then if you don't intervene, you're constantly going to see the world in a way that is dangerous. It is lack, scarcity, not enoughness. You have to work on seeing it on purpose, and then it becomes your default.
My brain immediately was like, that's why people are so cranky and like old people. Because so many of them have just been, because even as I'm getting older, I'm like, dude, I feel like I used to have such more like rose colored glasses. Like life just has started to feel so much heavier and harder as I'm getting older. But I also think a big part of that has just been rewiring. And so it's almost like,
Because the truth of this is, though, is there's duality. There's always going to be good. There's always going to be bad in the world. There's always going to be light. There's always going to be dark. There's always going to be injustice. There's always going to be things that just are awful and don't make sense. And I feel like once you get to a place of being able to, on purpose, find the things that are here for you so you can feel baseline safety, so you can find joy, at least in your human experience, you can hold the weight of injustice. You can see it and not make it spiral something inside of you. You can hold it. You can take action towards it. There's a sense of almost resilience in being able to know that there's always things that are happening in the world that break your heart and don't make sense and are terrible, but that you can then become strong enough within your own body and your own experience to advocate, to be a voice, to take your overflow and help in some capacity. There is always both. But it's important for you to get to a place where you can hold your joy. And it's not that you're being naive about like, oh, I'm just going to find everything's so great and everything's amazing and right? And everything is so great. The world is so amazing. I'm not asking you to think the world is amazing. I'm asking you to find purpose in your human experience so that you can wake up in the morning and feel important and find the joy in your day to day. So much so that when something comes into your life that is challenging, that is hard, that feels unfair, grief, all of that, that you have the resilience to navigate it because you know how to come back to this. You know how to come back to safety. You know how to come back to joy. You know how to come back to that, and you've made it yours. A lot of times, the two things that I see happening more often than I'd like to admit, and that I wish if anyone was listening to this could take this into consideration, is you don't recognize how much the brain is scanning for danger and how much the brain is scanning to find things wrong if you've never on purpose found that. So keeping that in mind, it's something that you have to choose every single day until it becomes the way you see the world or the way that you see your experience. And the consumption aspect of it. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you scrolling? What conversations are you having? What TV shows are you watching? Do you have the news on nonstop? And I'm never going to be the person that says, don't put on the news so that you don't have any clue of what's happening in the world. I'm not asking you to be unaware of what's happening in the world. I'm asking you to be able to be mindful of when it's derailing you and when you need to find baseline safety so that you can have the resilience to watch it and look at that and understand it and either advocate for it, do something for it, be a voice for it, or if it's derailing you so much to the point where it's hurting your mental health, you have permission to turn it off until you can get to a safer place. I will never be the person that is ever going to say, don't look at the things that are happening in the world.
what you shared is so helpful to keep in mind. I know we've had this conversation before too, and it's just, I think it's something that a lot of people are navigating, and it's a tough one to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else about wealth expansion that you'd want to share?
Yes. I think this is one of the last takeaways that I want anyone who's listening or watching to take from this is that when we are born, we are a natural state of abundance. We are a natural state for it. We are meant to receive good. We are meant to have an overflow of good. And I want you to remember that abundance is always trying to find you. It's always readily available. And to remember that The moment you say, I am willing and accepting to have more abundance in my life, it's always conspiring in your favor. It's always going to make its way. It's everything. I always like to say it like this: all of the pieces of everything that you desire you just as much. And that if you are a natural state of abundance, and you always have been, and abundance is always making its way to you, you just need to say that you're ready, and it will find you. And that's what I want them to know. It will find you.